6 on the shopping cart ordinance. We will have to drop that or continue that one, I should say, to the next city council meeting due to improper advertisement or showing of however you want to say it, to where people have the recognition that that's happening. So anyways, that one's going to be continued for the next meeting. And we also would like to bring to attention too that they make a motion that we had another urgency brought to our attention to the city. The agenda completed and published, and find that the item must be acted before the next regular meeting, and a direct consideration reinstating the K-9 program to the Yreka Police Department to be added to November 2nd, 2021 agenda. So, yes.
I'll make the recommended motion. Move to find that this item came to the attention of the city after the agenda was completed and published, and find that this item must be acted on the next regular meeting, before the next regular meeting, and direct that consideration of reinstating the K-9 program at the Yreka Police Department be added to the November 2nd, 2021.
Okay. I have a motion. Jones, Smith, Freeman.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. McCoy. Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Jones, Smith, Freeman. Paul McCoy.
Aye.
Corey Middleton.
Aye.
Debbie Baird.
Aye.
And I, Dwayne King. So we will move that to, we can replace that with number 6. Is that okay with everybody? Since we have number 6 there that we continue next time, we'll just add this one to it instead. Okay, great. Now we will go on to, we have a special presentation right now. This is for proclamation for the 14th annual Read Across Siskiyou event. So I will read the proclamation and then I'll have them step up here. Proclamation of the 14th annual Red Cross Siskiyou event sponsored by the First 5 Siskiyou Children and Families Commission. Whereas the ultimate goal of the First 5 Siskiyou Children and Families Commission is that the Siskiyou children from parental get through 5 years old of age will healthy, read, ready to learn, and supported and in safe, nurturing families and communities. And whereas the children of the Siskiyou County from parental through 5 of age have a successful start in life, daily reading and supportive and nurturing families, caregivers, educators, community leaders. And whereas early literacy in the foundation for academic, social, emotional, and economic success. And whereas the First 5 Siskiyou in partnership with Siskiyou County Library and the Family Community Resource Centers dedicates one day each year to promote early literacy by providing the same titled book to read to guest readers to the children in various preschools, kindergartens, childcare settings, libraries, and online events throughout Siskiyou County on the same day to provide each child with a copy of that book to take home. Therefore, the city of Yreka proclaims November 17th, 2021 as the 14th annual of Read Across Siskiyou, and be it that this body enthusiastically endorses daily reading, singing, and playing with children as a critical foundation for healthy development and long life success. Thank you, guys. Come on down.
Thank you for having us. My name is Michelle O'Gorman, and I'm the director of the Siskiyou Community Resource Collaborative. And this is Jean Trevison, and she's got a packet for each of you. And I wanted, this time I'm not going to make you wear ears or anything, but the book for this year is called Hedgehogs, and it's an autumn hide and squeak, not hide and seek, but a hide and squeak. And it's a darling little book about how I think it is a really great book about how, you know, we give hugs. And so I think, especially during this time when we haven't been doing a lot of that, I think this was a great book that they chose. So if any of you would like to be readers, there are some of us that are going to read down at the Siskiyou Media Council who would like to read and have it videoed, and then we put it on the YouTube channel, the First 5 Siskiyou's YouTube channel. And a lot of the teachers have shared with us that they utilize that in their rooms. They put it up and they talk about the people that were the guest readers and what they do in our communities. And so, you know, they're always celebrities in our community and people that they look up to. So we'd love to have as many of the city council who would like to do that, and you can give us a call at the Resource Center, okay? And we'll set that up. Like I said, it's in Weed. I believe it's the 10th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. They're scheduling the readers down there. So there's not a lot of schools that are letting us in, but the schools that are letting us in, there are guest readers going into those schools. And so we're very excited about being able to come in, and we've got some arts and crafts being built for each and every book. We'll give out almost 2,000 books throughout the Siskiyou County
Wow.
on the same day, which is November 7th. Thank you. I was going to say 18th, and now you know why. Why I need Jean, right? So we thank you so very much, and have a great day.
Awesome. Well, here's this.
Okay.
You want to hand you this
Signed one?
proclamation?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just say thank you to these ladies for organizing this.
Yes.
I have read to kids almost every year for 14 years. maybe 14 years, And it's always fun. The kids are great. So, you know, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Okay, well, then we will move on now, unless there's any other presentations. We'll move on to public comments. This is a time for public comments regarding issues and or matters not on the agenda, but still within the jurisdiction of the city of Yreka. Public comments period is not intended to be a question and answer period or conversations with the council or city staff. Council members, when recognized by the mayor, may ask questions of the presenter, but may take no actions during the city council public comment section of this meeting, except to direct staff to prepare a report or place on a future agenda. So is there any public comments at this point in time? Oh, we do. Another one. Good.
I'll be somebody else. So I'm just going to switch hats.
Yeah,
for a
switch
second.
hats now.
Yeah. So my name is Michelle O'Gorman, and I'm also the treasurer for Beacon of Hope Gospel Rescue Mission.
Yes.
And we have decided this year, in lieu of being able to provide housing overnight, that we will do a meal Monday through Friday evenings at 5:30 at the back door of St. Joseph's Parish Hall, which is actually that little alleyway off of 4th Street.
Okay.
So that's what we'll be doing Monday through Friday, hoping to have a church take every evening. And because we already have meals that are provided on Saturday at noon by St. Joseph's and Sunday at noon by the Tailgaters, the Methodists down at the PP&L parking lot, that should be, you know, what, at least there would be a meal every single day for the
Good.
folks that are cold. So actually we have some flyers, and I will email those to you all if that's okay. I forgot to bring them tonight. I had them, but I forgot to grab them off the counter. So we will be providing that information out. And if you can help us spread the word, that would be great. And we will, that's what we're going to provide until further notice.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Is there anything else as far as activity wise at the Beacon of Hope shelter, as far as any progress?
We have received $100,000 from Karuk tribe
Awesome.
to help us finish, at least finish and get open is the goal.
Good.
And we'll be doing that with volunteers and several paid contractors as well, that, you know, for electrical, plumbing, the sprinklers, things like that, that we need to finish to get open and running. So that's what we're going to be working on, and it's pretty exciting. to
Yeah,
have
that's
had
real
that.
exciting.
That was a
news.
big donation, so we're very, very thankful from their ARPA funds, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a lot of good people working on this project. And it's I know you got one right behind you that's been very active in that whole,
Yeah.
that whole thing. And I know we, they talked about trying to have another work day this Saturday.
Oh,
So,
great.
so
That's
it's
awesome.
exciting to do the electrical, hopefully this Saturday. We're supposed to have done it last Saturday, and
Mhm.
unfortunately with different building regulations, we had to change the electrical way of it's going to happen. So
Okay.
it's going to happen though. So it's good. Steve Renner's been just phenomenal on
Mhm.
getting stuff going and coordinating stuff, and it's just awesome. So thanks you guys for
Thank
doing
you.
that. It's much needed for the community.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for all
Thank
your
you.
help. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Yes, sure. It's still open for public comment, so go for it.
Would the public comment be on the encampment, or is that an agendized item that we,
It's, you can make a comment right now. That's fine.
but then I can also comment during.
Absolutely. Go for
Okay,
it.
I'm Donna Batchfalupi. My husband and I own most of Butcher Hill.
Mhm.
I sent you all a letter, which I assume you received. I have not received a comment
Mhm.
back, so I didn't know if you all got it. I'd like to read the
Yep.
letter, please, for the
Absolutely.
record. We are the owners of Butcher Hill, which is directly to the east of the proposed homeless encampment site. This is the first written notice that we have ever received regarding this project site. We are completely opposed to the location of this encampment at the foot of Butcher Hill, as it would only be a matter of time before the encampment once again spreads up the hill and campfires are being lit and more garbage dumped. We have spent thousands of dollars and lots of police department time cleaning up Butcher Hill and trying to protect the community from potential fires and pollution. Now the city wants to put a probable problem back in our hands. The only way this can be controlled at an encampment site is no climb fences and lock gates, which we know cannot be enforced. The hill will be an attractive destination for the encampment residents. In addition, South Foothill Drive is a narrow dead-end street, which at the end is a propane business with lots of exploding tanks, among other numerous businesses that house both county and private employees. If a fire did break out in the homeless encampment, what would be the escape route? Another problem is the easy access to the Catholic cemetery. As a trustee on the cemetery board, I can tell you that we are constantly picking up drug paraphernalia and other disturbing trash left by the wanderers, mostly homeless because of easy access to downtown Yreka and I-5. People have reported to the board that they are afraid to walk.
Fawn Jackson joined the meeting.
Sorry about that.
To walk in the cemetery anymore, either in the day or at night. What will happen when you add dozen more wanderers to the area? As the owner of Butcher Hill, we are insisting that the city build no climb fences on our western property line and that there be surveillance at all times. We are also asking the city to provide us with $1 million insurance liability policy for any fire damage or personal liability caused by the encampment residents or as a result of the proposed encampment. Also, as a trustee to the cemetery board, I am requesting that a fence also be erected around the cemetery to protect the cemetery and the public that visits the cemetery. We are very upset that we weren't notified about this, not the Beacon of Hope. That's totally different. We're talking about the encampment site. And the first notice we received was 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So far, the only thing I've received from the city is notice that I have an outstanding building permit, which came this week that I have knew nothing about, that had to do with the towers on top of the hill. And I wonder if searching that out, because I had put in a comment, it seems kind of fortuitous that that was suddenly located. So anyway, I would like further clarification on what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to protect us, because we don't want to keep going through this expense
Absolutely.
of having to clean out camps on our hill.
So in regards to that, being it's open session, we can't go into, discussion about that right at this proper time. But I would love to have a sit down conversation with you and we can take that a little bit.
I think
further.
you need to have a sit down conversation with every person on Foothill Boulevard, because you
I
are
would be more than
creating
happy to.
such
actually.
a dangerous thing for all those
Mhm.
businesses who have been broken in already constantly. The water has been used from those businesses. I think it's the worst place you could possibly put an encampment for homeless on a road that has no way out.
Well, and like I said, I have no problem going into further discussion on this. There's a lot of pros and cons to everything. And unfortunately, we keep getting
I don't
thrown.
see any pros for an encampment in that site
Right. And most
because it
people.
is
and-
a dead end road.
Unfortunately, there's in everybody's view in pretty much the whole city that you'll get one person or another that says.
That's true, but
there's
there is
someplace
not,
not to put it.
there
So,
is not a propane farm at the end of a dead end road. There is Pacific Power lines all over there.
oh,
There's
Yep.
businesses that are right across the street. I just can't even imagine anybody thinking that was a good idea.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
a tough one. There is no easy solution on that. Yes, Mr. Hen.
Mr. Mayor, I inquired of the lady if she has discussed her fire-related concerns with Chief Lemos, because I'm asking to put together a list of susceptible areas to make sure that there are fire exclusions in the ordinance that we're putting together.
Mhm.
So if she
Yes,
has,
I have.
okay, good, thank you.
Okay, great. All righty. At this point, is there any other public comments at this point in time? Okay. Well, then we will move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, non-controversial, and will be enacted under one motion unless a member of the council wishes to remove an item or discussion, or a member of the public wishes to comment on an item. A, approval ratification payments issued from October 11th, 2021 to October 24th, 2021, excuse me. B, approval of minutes of the special meeting held October 15th, 2021. C, approval of minutes of the regular meeting held October 19th, 2021. D, approval of minutes of the special meeting held on October 21st, 2021. E, approval of the minutes of the emergency meeting held on October 25th, 2021. F, approval of the minutes of the special meeting held on October 26th, 2021. G, continuation of urgency ordinance number 855, COVID-19. H, continuation of urgency ordinance number 864, fireworks. I, continuation of urgency resolution number 2021-51, remote public meetings. And J, waive full text readings of all ordinance on the agenda. Ordinances shall be introduced and adopted by title only. So on this, I know there was brought to attention on the minutes of special meeting. Excuse me, I gotta figure out what special meeting it was now. Sorry. Huh? Yeah, there's quite a few. Sorry about that. I will figure it out here shortly. Must be 20. Yeah, for clarification, correct. But I gotta figure out which one that is, sorry. No.
The fireworks one?
Mm-mm.
Stay awake.
Mhm. Here's the crickets. Sorry. Mr. McCoy, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Which one was that?
That's okay. It's on the October 21st meeting.
21st,
Mr.
okay.
Mayor.
Yeah, each of us should ask for our own recall.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Which one is it? October
D.
21st?
That would be D.
D,
So this-
October 21st, the minutes. The minutes read
Special meeting.
on that one. Clarification, we need clarification on that because the minutes stated in conjunction that the items that we were discussing on that evening with Mr. McCoy, that document was to be basically abolished and not to be brought back up, and the minutes does not read that, so. Yeah.
I thought it was tabled.
It was not tabled, no.
The word pause was
The
used.
discussion was, proper discussion was that we were to drop that document and that there was not going to be brought back.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, there was no motion that evening. There was a lot of discussion, but there was no motion.
So I guess we'll have to bring that back for further clarification, I guess, Mr. Johnson on the next meeting. So that one will get tabled then. So we'll have to listen to it verbally again, so.
You may do that if you wish. However, I
I
would
don't think
suggest
it's
to you
necessary.
that the minutes are correct as presented.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you can't do whatever it is you want to do at a future meeting.
Okay,
Can't rewrite the minutes.
no. Well, we have listened to the minutes before, and that's for clarification.
If you want to listen to the minutes, just pull that item and just adopt the rest of the consent.
That's what I'm saying.
And leave that one hanging.
That's what I'm saying. We'll bring that back on the next meeting. So, Don, did you have something to add to that, sir?
Just, and I'll contact the city clerk about this, but here, number I, the emergency resolution -51, for remote public meetings, actually replaces G ordinance number, emergency ordinance number 855, because that governor's order has expired, so you don't need to have this on your agenda.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
May I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Of our attorney? Just for clarification of that. For clarification, I just wanted to make certain that we could still have meetings and have people call into meetings, because I know that was part of the first
Yes.
governor's permission, or the permission of the state for urgency. Because of COVID, people could call in, or even council members or yourself could call in, and it
Right.
would be illegally, in other words, you were counted as being part of the meeting. But if we don't have that, then how is that included?
Okay, so that's what, that was based on a governor's emergency proclamation. And then they replaced that with an entire statute, AB 361,
Mm,
which had the same provisions in it. And was required for you to adopt, so that you can continue to have virtual.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
okay. All righty then. So back to that. Do I have any motions in conjunction to the consent calendar and how we want to move forward?
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve the consent item as presented. Don, did you say that we should take out item G with taking out item G?
Taking out item what? I'm sorry.
G, the urgency
G.
ordinance, yes.
Okay, so the urgency order number 855. Okay, so we have a motion to take out urgency ordinance number 855.
And is
And
item
approving the
D,
rest,
And Dave.
or which, we're taking out also number
D for review?
D, correct?
for review?
For review.
Okay, I didn't have a problem with D because the minutes reflect what happened.
Yeah.
So I was just going to approve it as is without G.
But that's,
Yes, Ms. McCoy.
Might I add, fellow councilman and councilwoman, that on item, then on the item for the October 21st meeting, when we discussed it, near the end of that, and that was a lengthy discussion, probably about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And because I know that what I talked about is that if it was going to stand, I was going to bring in my legal counsel. I said that right off at the beginning. I believe it was Councilman Middleton that actually said, we want to try and repair things, we want to try and move on. And then we continued to talk about, they said, well, we'll leave this in. And I said, no, it's got to be dropped out. We need to move on. Holding it in there does not instill any trust in it. And at that point in time, Mayor King told everyone, and everyone agreed. I think that you'll find that reflected in the minutes, Mr. City Manager. And that's why I just mentioned it.
Yeah, I do recall, saying that we're dropping this and moving forward at this point.
I'd like it reviewed.
Yeah, that's why, no, I agree. That's why I said I would like to
I
see.
agree too. I agree.
So at this, so do we have the
If
change of
you,
the motion, or would you like to?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. Okay. So then now do we have a new motion?
This is Councilmember Debbie Baird. I will move that we approve the consent calendar with D to be pulled for review and G to be pulled, eliminated.
G, D and G to be pulled. All right. Okay. G to eliminate it completely and D to be reviewed. Okay. We have a motion by Debbie Baird.
Council Middleton, I'll second.
Motion a second. All right. Joan Smith Freeman. I still gotta ask, yes.
You know, all the other items on here, I don't have a problem with, and just for review, I'll say yes. Aye.
Okay, thank you. Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Baird.
Aye.
And Dwayne Keig, aye. All righty. We are moving on. Now we're replacing obviously number 6, which was shopping cart ordinance with this. Was just brought to our attention today. So we will, here we go. Discussion on the go to detail here. What do I do with it? What's my verbiage on this? You have the different verbiage, don't you? It's not the same one. What verbiage do we want to start off with on this?
It's on the back side.
Ah, there we go. There we have it. All righty. Discussion possible action, Yreka Police Department reinstatement of K-9 program. Do you want to continue on that one? Mr. Gilman? Chief Gilman, please.
Hello, council members. So the reason this was the urgency thing, Willits Police Department has a K-9 named Hank, and they contacted me the day before some orals and some stuff I had planned today. I wasn't able to call them back. That they had a free dog. They wanted to give us the dog. By the time I called them back, another agency had already picked the dog up.
Oh,
So we lost out on the dog. They contacted me a short time ago, a few days ago, and the other agency is not going to go with the dog. The handler and the dog didn't get along, and I was number 2 on the list. So the reason for the urgency is there is 2 more agencies waiting in line behind me to pick up this dog. So a K-9 we go through Chico. That's where our K-9 school is. This free K-9 for us to replace it, we just got a quote today, would be $12,000 to buy the dog. And then we'd have to do the same training and everything we'd have to do anyways. So the urgency for this is to let us go down and evaluate this K-9 to make sure he's even a good fit for the department, make sure our handler is good with him. We do have a K-9 handler, which is Sergeant Dirksen. And we have Officer Hassemeyer, who wants to be the future K-9 handler. Sergeant Dirksen is not going to be a handler because he's a supervisor, but he is going to supervise the program. So they're going to go down, evaluate the dog with your blessing tomorrow, bring it back for 2 weeks, have a 2-week evaluation. We'll take it to the sheriff's department. We've made arrangements with the K-9 department there to help us evaluate the dog, make sure he's going to be a good fit and it's a trusted dog. The dog is a 3.5-year-old black German Shepherd. His name is Hank, and so far it sounds like he's a really good dog. We have enough money in the K-9 fund, just barely, for me to squeak by with everything else we need as far as training and all that. So this would be a huge benefit to the Yreka Police Department if we can get this dog for free. And I would like to evaluate the dog first to make sure he's even a trusted fit.
Nice, nice.
So that's our presentation. That's what I'm asking for, is permission to reinstate the program and check the dog out and make sure the dog is good. If not, then I'll come back and we can talk about future programs and, how we could get a dog. But like I said, it's $12,000 for a dog. So
Right.
I want to jump on this while I can. And that's why the urgency, because there's 2 other agencies waiting.
Well, I look at this as, valuable asset to the department. From get-go, when I was started on city council, I seen the value of this, Corey Persing was running that years ago, and I seen, had lots of discussions with Corey and how valuable it was for the the police department. It saves, I mean, it can save a lot of things. It can save lives. It can save comp cases for the pleadie. It can time out. It can, I mean, there's just so many benefits of having this program, and safety is number one. And I think it's going to help the safety of our citizens and for our police department. So I think it's a huge value to, huge asset to our community, period.
Tying into that, the last, we used a canine a few weeks ago, a month ago, I can't recall which. We had to call it from Mount Shasta, and it took us over an hour to get the canine here for a murder, attempted murder suspect that was hiding from us in a culvert. And we were able to get him with the canine. We were able to apprehend him, but we had to sit out there for over an hour, standing by a culvert, not knowing where he was. So we had to be targets for over an hour, just waiting for a dog. Took the dog 5 minutes to find him.
Yeah.
And we waited over an hour for that.
Nice. That's nice to be able to have that luxury that they were able to do that. And then if we were to have it, it'd just save a lot of time and a lot of hassle for sure. So, Mr. Henny, I know you have something to add to that.
Yeah, an inquiry for the chief. Do we have an up-to-date canine policy? Because, you know, issues like overtime are.
Right.
So we are working on that right now. Retta and I have been working on it. I have contacted 3 agencies to get what they do. And we found 2 answers that meet the FLSA. What we used to do is we used to give a stipend to a canine officer, which counted handling the dog. And then as we found out that now per FLSA, you have to actually have an overtime issue. So we are working on that. I've given the information to Retta. I'm sure it'll be an easy addressment. One of them is Willits. I got a copy of their policy, or they verbally told me what their policy was. The sheriff's department is currently changing their policy to be in line with what we're doing. So we're working with them also with their canine department.
Yeah, I've drafted them previously, and let me see if I can find that on my computer. I think I would. City attorney with council at the time. But I based mine on San Diego's. San Diego had probably the best canine policies now. So I'll see if I can dig that up and forward it to you guys for your consideration.
That'd be awesome.
Great. Thank you, Don. Yes, Joan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, I wholeheartedly agree that this is an excellent program. I just have one question. Do you know the reason why Willits wants to get rid of poor Hank?
Yes. They don't want to get rid of poor Hank. They unfortunately had to get rid of their officer. So he was a transfer from another department, came there. There was some issues and he wasn't able to take the dog with him. Typically a dog goes with a handler. So they got stuck with a dog. They do not have another canine handler. There are departments similar to Yreka. I think they have 12 sworns, so they're a little bit smaller than me. They don't have anyone to do it, which even the sheriff's departments find that now. They're having a hard time finding handlers. A lot of people don't want that responsibility.
Yeah.
So they have this wonderful resource and this great dog that they can't do anything with it. And that's why they're trying to find the right place to send them. So that's the reason.
Thank you. If there's anybody else have comments? Otherwise, I'd make the motion to approve. Okay, the recommended motion is moved to authorize the chief of police to notify Willits Police Department that Yreka Police Department has been approved to inspect trained police dog that they are offering at no cost and to proceed with instating the canine program for the Yreka Police Department if dog and prospective handler meets standards.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman, and a second by Debbie Baird. Do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman,
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Baird. Aye. Dwayne Keg, aye. Awesome.
Good program.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Yes,
it.
it's
Good luck.
Hopefully Hank works out for us.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's going to be a huge asset to our community. I really do. And I know your officer is really definitely wanting to jump in there. I know we've had discussions in the past that Cash wanted to do that a number of years ago, start this program. So I'm sure he's very enthusiastic about getting it actually going. So thank you so much. Awesome. Now we will move to number 7. Old business, discussion, possible action, planning commission consideration and nominations for 2 planning commission seats. So this one has been a good one. It really has. We've had a number of different applicants that I think are all here. And we've been truly lucky to have all these qualified applicants here. I mean, it's just amazing. Each applicant has something to contribute to the council, or excuse me, to the planning commission, and have just talents and a drive to make this community a better place. And it's amazing to have all these people here and wanting to make a difference in our community. And it's awesome to see that. Like I said, each one of them can bring something to the table that maybe something else that none of them have, but they're all truly talented individuals and have a lot going for them and are going to bring a lot to our community. And I just, like I said, I thank each and every one of them for putting in their applications, because I'll tell you what, it takes a number of individuals to make this city run smoothly. And it's neat to see that there's so many enthusiastic people that want to make a difference and want to make a change in our city in a positive way. So I thank each and every one of you for applying. I'm going to open this up briefly to the council for discussion and see what, if there's any further discussion on this. I know I've had interviews with each and every one of these individuals, and like I said, it was very educational talking to each and every one of them. Like I said, they bring something to the table that did not even see on a lot of them, and it's amazing what they're going to bring to our community. So, does anybody have anything they want to discuss or talk about on this aspect?
We already discussed it,
Uh-huh.
so I'm good with the conversation we had.
So in conclusion, like I said, we've had numerous discussions with each one of these individuals. Debbie Baird, Pro Tem, Debbie Baird and I have had a discussion about this. We went over, reviewed the applications, talked about the interviews that I had with each and every individual. Our conclusion that we came to that I think was best suited at this possible time for the Planning Commission is Amy Fernandez and Brian Devlin. And we thank you, each and every one of you, for applying at this point in time. Don't please, if there's any other position that opens up on any avenue, I totally invite you to step forward and try to do that again, because you guys are definitely talented individuals, each and every one of you, and we appreciate you applying for this position. But so if the two applicants I just named off would come forward, and we'd like to thank you. So you're not going to get sworn in tonight. I'm not sure of the process. Arthur, do we have anything that we come to a conclusion on in the process? Are they going to do it at the next city planning commission, or is it going to be at a further date, or do we know?
We do not know.
Okay, so we'll be getting a hold of you guys to let you know when that is. I know we have a planning commission meeting coming up on our November 17th, correct?
16th. Oh, 17th
17th.
Wednesday
No, up above.
up there.
Yep,
17th.
17th. So we'll be getting a hold of you guys before that. And like I said, we thank you guys for stepping forward and taking that task on, because it's going to be a challenging one in the future. All of us are facing challenging times. So thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, were you going to do it? Okay. We need a motion to
Yes, we do.
confirm the mayor's appointment and the mayor pro tems. And so I would like to gladly make the motion to appoint Amy Fernandez and Brian Devlin to the planning commission, and congratulate them. I know you
Motion
do
by
a good
Joe.
job. It's a lot of work, just so you know.
Do you want to go?
So we have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman And it's-
Councilman Middleton, I will second.
and a second by Corey Middleton. All right, we'll do a roll call. Joan Smith Freeman,
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Milton,
Aye.
Debbie Barrett.
Aye.
And Dwayne Keg, aye. Like I said, thank you all. Appreciate it. Great, we will move on to 7B, discussion possible action, Public Works, Fall Creek Supply Pipe Crossing. This is.
Matt Bray.
Is he on the, there he is.
Up
Screen.
there, he's not here.
There he is.
There we are. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm gonna start this one off, I think, tonight by skipping over my agenda memo and drop right into the memo written by Rob Taylor, our outgoing water services manager. As you know, we've discussed this at length multiple times, which would be best for the protection of our pipeline and our water supply into the future. We've talked about underground, we've talked about aerial, where the pipe was just hanging all by itself on its own bridge. Over the design phase work that Pace, our team at Pace, and Rob and myself have been working with the engineers from the project. This option is an aerial concept, but it's hung from a new bridge. The Daggett Road Bridge that I've explained, we've discussed before, was an old antiquated bridge. And at the time, they did not have plans to remove that bridge and replace it. So recently it came to us as they are going to replace that bridge. And the engineering teams worked together to determine the best method of hanging our pipeline from that new bridge. The bottom of that page there from Rob's memo has a schematic drawing. And at the bottom of that drawing, you can see that the pipe is hanging dead center in that bridge deck, which both engineering teams believe is the best method of installing it on that bridge, because there's removable panels on top of the bridge deck with heavy machinery, as Rob speaks to in his memo. The panels can be removed and direct access to that 24-inch pipeline is gained quite simply, actually, without the permitting options and such of having to get down along what would be a river bed and trying to work on that. So previously, as I discussed, the engineering team from the dam removal side had looked at installing coffer dams and shoving the river off to one side and trying to bury the pipe there and then move the river back over and all of that. And as we've worked through these options, it really became evident that if we were to ever have issues and need to maintain that buried pipeline, the city would probably need to do the same. And you can only imagine the permitting and time and of engineering to do that kind of project. So it is our proposal tonight that the council understand and accept this current pipe crossing design as the best option to the benefit of the city water system looking into the future. And that's really the gist of it. I think Rob very eloquently spoke to it in his memo. We are at the 90% designs on this crossing. And so the team at Pace and Rob and myself all are in agreement. This is the best option we have seen thus far.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brewery. I'm going to open up for the council. Comments, concerns on this, other than hopefully this is the last proposal. Yes, any comments?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, I have concerns. We have discussed this for how many years? Many years we've discussed this, and I thought that we were all in agreement that the location where the pipe is now is the safest. I have concerns about our pipe hanging from a bridge, because if somebody wanted to take out our water supply, it would be pretty easy to blow up a bridge. It would be harder to find it under the water. So that's my concern.
Or buried.
Well, buried, yes, it's
Yeah.
buried under the river. In other words, it doesn't commingle
Right.
with the Klamath River. It never did. But I just have some concerns about this. And I realize, where's Matt?
I'm
Matt,
here.
you
Yes,
went away. I can't see you anymore.
I'm not sure why.
Can't look into your eyes. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, so was the reason that we are that this is being recommended to us purely for the reason of if it broke down in any way, that it would be easier to fix? Because that's what I'm reading here from Rob Taylor, who I have the ultimate respect for. He's worked with the water and our entire water supply for many years, and I respect and I appreciate that. I just want to make sure that if we vote on this tonight, that this truly is the only direction that we should go in. Because we've always had two choices, to go over or go under. And it sounds like this would take away our other option, and I have concerns about that.
So to answer your question there is, this is the best option presented. I want to say this is possibly the fifth. We've gone through a few iterations of this. During those discussions, not only with the engineering teams, but with you as a council also, the true cost of maintenance over the next 100 years or however long this is going to last, on buried as it is now, is completely inaccessible. If anything were to happen with it buried, new pipeline, possibly an aerial, would need to be installed to get us back in service. So that was brought into the discussions. But really, to the core of your question, this is the best option we've seen out of the engineering team. The ability to get to hands actually on the pipe with, it's not easy, but it's with some heavy equipment. If we ever needed to get down there to replace sections of that pipe, it's right there. We discussed hanging it off to one side of the bridge. To make it maybe a little easier. Again, talking it all the way through with all involved, the center line of the bridge provides the most protection. And Rob speaks to that there in his memo. But yes, Pace and Rob, the water and maintenance divisions, we are recommending this is the best.
I saw that. Thank you.
So, yeah, as far as concerns too, is like I said, safety. I mean, that is obviously a huge concern of somebody tampering with our water lines. There's actually, I don't go into detail, but there is actually other places that our water line is exposed and just not public knowledge. So that can be, exactly, it could be interfered with on those, in those other places. And I'm sure this is the piping on this in conjunction to this. Matt, this is probably designed, the pipe is probably designed to withstand at least a 30-06 shell, I would assume.
Correct. Yes, we went through the ballistics previously. And that discussion was more focused on one of the previous aerial, where it was simply a pipe crossing over the river to where the entire thing was exposed and easy to see and shoot. But yes, this provides, underneath the deck here, provides the safety that we really feel is required for this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bray.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Debbie Baird.
Mr. Bray, I don't mean to be hesitant or show any lack of support for this, but I think it's about the fifth time we've had engineered plans presented to us. So it's kind of hard to get enthused when each time it was presented, it was the best thing for the best situation. So I need to know two things. Number one, is this the best thing for Yreka in the opinion of our engineers or the dam removal project engineers? I need to know that that it's the people who are taking care of us, that are looking out for us, that are saying that this is the best option. And I also want to know when this project will start, so I'll know if we're going to get more engineered plans in the future.
Okay, so Your first question, the answer to that is this is our city opinion, our engineering and water and maintenance divisions. This is our opinion. This is the best. As for the time frame, I don't have that. I believe there's still some legal matters to be solved for that project to move forward. So I don't have a start date, so to speak.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr. Middleton. Oh, go ahead. Mr. Middleton.
Our attorney should-
Mr. Bray, Councilman Middleton, remind me when, this is probably only the first one that's been presented me since I've taken my seat in 1 year. This is the first design I've looked at or been a part of. But when you and I did, we spent the day up touring the water facility and you gave me the tour. If I recall, you stated to me when we crossed the bridge, I said, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been about a year or
Sure.
9 months. Wasn't this the original plan the city thought was best? And then it was changed 3 or 4 times from pace. I thought you stated to me that you thought this would be the best because if there was a problem or a leak that ruptured, there's miles and miles of trying to find where that leak would be, correct? With it being underneath the piping being in the water?
If I recall, the conversation we were having was, I was explaining that with the underground option, that there was a temporary alignment set over the existing Daggett Creek Bridge that was in that previous plan. And we were in discussions with the engineers at that time on if they would be willing to leave that as a backup, so to speak. But at that time, the Daggett Bridge was going to remain as it is. It's a pretty old wooden structure, concrete abutment type thing. So it wasn't really part of that discussion. It was just a route around while they were proposing to do the massive underground dig.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Don, I'm gonna have to ask you to actually go up to the microphone because we've been letting you not do it, but you need to go up there so it's on public record. You should know that. Sorry.
So in my discussions with KRRC, who has separated this part of the project out from the bigger project, is that our pipeline replacement project is one of the very first things to be accomplished in the schedule. And it would be accomplished, whether or not the dams were actually decommissioned. So.
Good. So it's under the best interest of our city, period, no matter what, whether the dams get removed or not, which I know a lot of us say, no, we don't want them removed. And I'll be the
Right.
first one to say that.
Yeah.
But at least it's under the best interest for our city, no matter what, period.
According to the photographs or the schematics, it looks like there's an awfully nice bridge going in there, and that bridge needed work.
Work anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Don. We have any more comments? If not, I'm going to open up to public comments also. Yes, Debbie Bear. Yes, it probably would be good to know that for the most of the public that Don Henyon is actually our city attorney. So a vital role in our community, very much so. So anyway, is there any other councilman comments at this point in time? I'm going to open it up for public comments because there might be some public comments at this point in time. So I will open up for public comments at this point in time. Is there any public comments? Okay. Well, then we will move back to councilman. What is our direction on this?
In 5
Yes.
versions, I have made so many different motions, but But we do pay Pace Engineering good money. And we appreciate our Public Works Director, Matt, as well as Rob Taylor, our Water Services Manager. And if this is the final, the last time that we're going to make this motion, I will make the recommended motion that the council approve the current pipeline crossing design as the best option for the benefit of the city of Yreka water supply system and make it very safe. Very, very safe.
Okay, Mr. Cook.
I'll second, Councilman McCoy will second that motion.
Awesome. All righty, thank you. We have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman and a second by Paul McCoy. Do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman,
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Barrett, and I, Dwayne Keg. Okay, moving forward now. We are
I saw
on
that.
to number 7C, which is discussion possible action, public works, flood hazard reduction, future phases. This is Matt again, I assume.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I'm bringing this to you for some direction with the current phase that we've worked on with the Forest Service there on the piece of land they own in town. And the time frame that we have on this available funding, we want to spend as much of it as we can by, I believe it's May 15th of 2023. In the interest of getting further down the road with our flood hazard reduction portion of this, focusing down on the FHR. Staff we're proposing 2 city properties, one to the north of the Forest Service and one to the south. So I have them listed there, some photos for you as Exhibit A and Exhibit B. It's previously been discussed as the Lennox parcel and Exhibit A, and then the Greenhorn Park parcel is something that's probably a little newer to some of you. We may not have discussed this at length in the past. Looking at the exhibits that I roughly sketched out for you there, the Lennox parcel at the top of the page, that's Highway 3 headed out up towards Montague and the Northern Shopping Center there. So that parcel, a number of those were picked up by the city in recent years for this project. It's bare land from kind of center line of the creek on over to the freeway fence. This phase that's in the master plan, the Greenway master plan, involves trails and some benches and things of that nature, but nothing like the forest parcel to where there were buildings that needed to be designed and removed, rebuilt. The access is already in at both ends. There's some signage there. This, in my opinion, is a fairly straightforward phase to tackle. The environmental obviously would be number one, and then get the final design for the layout of this, and then come through and much like the Deer Creek Way phase that's north of this, the majority of that work is earthwork. And similarly to the Oberlin Road parcel that we built out a number of years ago with some gracious donations of land, along with some that we had purchased, the majority of that work is earthwork. So it's straightforward as it can get through the environmental and reroute that creek to lower that floodplain through that area referred to as the Lennox parcel. Exhibit B is from I'll call it the southern end of the spillway. So the nice walk bridge that we've built over the dam there on the spillway, looking down that concrete chute is what we call the spillway as in its entirety. And it comes out and stops at that old bridge that's at some phase, possibly this one, get a new walk bridge down installed there. And so then it extends from there along the creek and down to the park limit. So it's the city limit, or the city owned parcel there limit, I'm sorry. And that phase also, just like Lennox, the majority of it is earthwork. It's permitting, it's earthwork. No structures to really deal with in this one. Really the main hurdles here for both sites is to get to the environmental, get through it, get the landscape architects on board and get it designed out and put these out to bid, and expend those funds from the FHR grant by May of 2023. It's a tight timeline, but staff believes it's doable. And so we were just looking tonight to you to discuss further if you'd like. These are 2 city parcels that we've picked up over the years. You know, we've had the park. We've recently finished out picking up what we needed at Lennox. Like I said before, they're in the Greenway Master Plan. And I hate to use the term, but I'll use it. They're the low-hanging fruit of the Greenway Master Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Bray. So, I mean, this is definitely something that we need to have a good discussion about because we don't want to lose that funding that's available. These are 2 good areas that they're proposing, obviously. These areas would probably be the easiest to work on in conjunction to the other areas that were proposed along the Greenway that we were trying to get going, but have ran into roadblocks in the past. I'm not sure if there's any concern to the council. I know the main thing is that we have the proper permitting to move forward. Obviously, in the lower Greenhorn Park parcel, there we have some things we have to work around. Obviously, the Pacific Power substation that's right there that would make sure we have to clean, make sure that's done properly. We also have the storage unit on the flip side. Now, looking at this red outlining, unfortunately, I don't know. There's nothing we can bring up for the citizens to see, the public here to see on that, Arthur, by any chance?
Of course.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't have some.
So,
Because mine's black and white and gray.
well,
I
that's
don't
what's
know
nice.
about yours. There's no red.
Mine's color.
You have one of these though.
Look at there. Oh, okay.
Well, maybe.
This-
So anyways, in conjunction to that, I'm looking at the red border line that's down there at the very bottom of Greenhorn Park area. And I thought that area is close to being outlined as close to being part of the storage unit's property. So I'm not sure if Mr. Bray is clear on that one.
I am aware where the parcel lines actually lie. This was just a quick sketch up on the computer, so in red, so you could see the general vicinity of where we were proposing the work to be done. But you are correct. The Pacific Power has the chunk of their property there on the around the substation. And then there are some property lines that run down tighter than this, just schematic red line. I was trying to highlight it, but it didn't work. So I did it on the computer really quick. But this is just a general shot of where the proposed area to work on would be.
Is there any way of bringing that down further? Because I know that in that area, we have of course, we have the Grange there, and then just past the Grange is actually city-owned property also. So I don't know, is there any possibility of working through some type of negotiations or working with the people that own the Grange and furthering that on down to the city property?
Yes, and that's somewhat what we're asking for the permissions to move on tonight, is to give staff the go ahead to investigate further, tighten up a design and get a stronger idea to share with you about permitting timelines. But definitely the design requirements that I speak to in the memo they would be much cleaner than my quick little red.
Well, like I said, I think it is, like I said, us owning, the city owning, I should say, property down past the Greenhorn Grange there. I know there's a proposed back in the 1980s, there was a proposed bridge that was going to be across that area right below the Greenhorn Grange. That is no longer. There's actually piping that goes underneath the creek in that area that I know of for a fact. And so I know that's all city property in that little area also. So I don't know if, like I said, if it's something that we could continue on down further would be something that as a possibility too, so.
It was for definitely an avenue we would want to chase with your permissions.
Debbie Baird?
Councilmember Middleton and I and Randy have been meeting with Siskiyou Parks Garden and Greenway to get the project moving again because the area around the Forest Service has been so consuming and so slow to make things happen, working with other government entities, 3 others. And so we were really pushing because the end of the grant window is kind of approaching on 2023. But so that's why this is coming up now. I hope Corey and I made a difference in making this move on a little bit with Jerry Mosier and but if I remember correctly, Ms. Bakajalupa, aren't you part of the Grange, not the Grange, the Little Red Schoolhouse? Guild.
In the little schoolhouse, I thought the fair was going. We haven't heard of it. if they
Well,
are.
I have,
Oh, you have.
but Ms. Bennett hadn't brought anything back as far as information for a while. I wasn't sure, but the intent was to move it and make it a display item on the fairgrounds.
Right.
So if that worked to the plans with the flood hazard reduction improvement that's going on, that this would be a super good time to incorporate that.
That's not far from your house.
Huh?
Are you gonna move your house to?
Yeah.
Lakefront property.
Heck yeah, let's get it out of there. Much further on down anyways, but yeah, as far as that, the Little Red Schoolhouse, I know there's been other discussions too. I've heard other discussions of getting it moved. Like you said, the cost around getting that moved, I think was upwards of $30,000 to move that. So there's a huge cost involved in doing that.
Mrs. Bennett did not mention that, and I think she knows people. And I think Mr. Munson, CEO of the fairgrounds, everybody knows, was happy to welcome it to the property. So I think he has options available to him as well. So I don't think it would cost them that much, or they wouldn't even put it on the table.
Yeah. Anything's an option, I'm sure. So yeah, I guess at this point in time, discussion wise, we need to have any more discussion on whether or not we want to move forward with Mr. Graham's proposal. If not, I'm going to open it back up to the public also at that point in time. But is there any more discussion from the council on that? Okay, well, I'm going to open this up to the public. If there's any public comments on this. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay. Either one, if you want to step forward, please. Yeah.
Any of the above.
Donna, no comment?
Well, I think it'd be great for the fairs like that sort of building. It's a wonderful building, but I don't know how they can move it.
Yeah.
They've talked about going over that one over ramp or taking off the high part and going under. And so I'm not sure.
I don't know that they've gotten into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, see, that's the challenging part.
Arthur has his finger
Huh?
up. Arthur?
No, I was saying we can't hear her.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh, you need to come up to the microphone.
So yeah, she does raise a good point on that. Transportation of moving it over there because of the height of the building definitely presents some obstacles on that because you can't put it underneath the freeway. It won't fit underneath the freeway, and it can't go over top of the freeway.
Walter's Lane.
Walter's Lane, but I don't think they'll permit it to do that because they won't permit something like that to go over top of the freeway. So it'd have to go on further down.
Oh, well, no offense meant, but I hope they check out all their options.
Yeah, yeah. But that's for future discussion anyway.
Yes.
So anyways, is there any other public comments on that? Okay, then open it back up to the council. What is the wishes of the council?
I'd like to make a motion, please, if I may.
Okay.
I'll move that the council direct staff to investigate permitting and design requirements of the Lennox parcel and Greenhorn area, utilizing remaining FHR grant funding.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'm Joan Smith Freeman, council member. I would like to second that motion.
Okay,
I
great.
think that it's a good idea to investigate the permitting.
Yeah.
This isn't the final. It'll
No,
come back
no,
to us.
definitely. It's more stuff's gonna be coming back to us on this. This is just the first stage, but like we discussed, I think it's something to utilize that grant money and to move forward with it instead of let it get wasted and get in trouble over it. So we have a motion by Debbie Baylor and a second by Joan Smith Freeman. Joan Smith Freeman, I'll do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman.
Aye.
Paul McCoy.
Aye, and thank you, Mr. Bray, for all the work you've done on it.
Yes.
Corey Middleton.
Aye.
Debbie Baylor.
Aye.
And Dwayne K. Aye. Okay, great. Awesome. We'll move on now. Sooner or later we'll get to this for everybody. I know there's a couple anxious people out in the audience that want us to move on. All right, we are on to number 8, new business, discussion, possible action, public works. Adopt a resolution declaring 3 city-owned properties as exempt surplus land and authorize the city manager to our designee to take implementing actions necessary to comply with the Surplus Land Act. All righty, Mr. City Manager. What'd I miss?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, you missed them.
you
Oh,
jumped a
my
couple.
goodness, I'm just jumping right ahead of everything.
He's trying to get done.
Yeah.
He's trying to get
Let's
done
move forward.
faster.
Wow, all right, let's go to 7D, try this again, authorize city manager and staff to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with ERRG Incorporated for the Foothill Drive Brownfield site cleanup. Cindy.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Before you tonight is a request to allow the city manager to enter into professional services agreement with ERRG Incorporated in order to do the Foothill Drive site brownfield cleanup. As you know, council's authorized city staff to do the site cleanup and make it happen as quickly as possible. We put out the RFP, we received 2 proposals, and city staff and SEDC and Geocon, who is the brownfields grant contractor, all read through both proposals and determined that ERRG would probably suit the needs of the city best, and took that for approval to our city manager. And I am here to answer questions, and with your permission, we'd like to move forward.
Okay, great. Council, we have some questions for Cindy.
I do.
Okay,
One
Mr.
question.
Middleton.
Hi, Cindy, thank you. You said there was 2 bids and you said ERRG. You
Mhm.
said best suits the city. Were they the
Yes.
lowest bidder of the project?
They were slightly lower.
Okay.
But they were better overall, yes,
Thank you so much.
in our estimation, yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
As far as best overall was in comparison, what I guess in comparison, obviously there are less money you said. Is there?
Slightly less, and we did create a rubric and fill it out. I didn't put it in the agenda packet because I thought that was a little too heavy on detail. Just more of a general knowledge of work that needs to be done, more experience in terms of dealing with government and agencies and
Okay. Great. Mr. Henyon? Need to get a microphone, a portable one, so we can make things easier for people.
So just to clear up Council Member Middleton's question, there is a difference between public projects and RFPs. And so on the public projects, we have to go for the least responsible bidder. But for RFPs, the selection is supposed to be the most qualified contractor, irrespective of the price. So if you didn't know that before, that's, there's quite a difference.
Thank you, Don, for clearing that up. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we have some more.
But as it
council
happens, they
comments?
were slightly lower, but
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Lower and
I appreciate it.
less.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other council comments? If not, I'm going to open it up for the public. Okay, I'm going to open it up to the public section of this. So is there any members of the public that want to comment on this? And what this is about? If it's not clear, this is the cleanup of the foothill property for the homeless urban campsite. Just for clarification. Yes, go ahead. Come on up.
If you're already putting this out to bid, does that mean that the council has voted to go ahead with this encampment without notifying the public around, except for 2 weeks ago? So has there been a hearing here at the city council discussing this in the past?
So yeah, we've had numerous publicized
Isn't it
meetings about this.
customary to notify the surrounding property owners before you get into discussion like this?
This would be something for Dawn to address on that situation. But yeah, we've had public meetings on this, numerous ones in the past. It's not something that just came up 2 weeks ago.
But
Yes,
isn't it customary that you notify the surrounding property owners before you venture into this and start hiring
So-
contractors?
As far as the contractors go, we're cleaning up this property no matter what, as far as that goes. This
Okay.
property does need to be cleaned up. There was minor traces of lead contamination that we're going to clean up. So that process is going to continue no matter what. There's going to be some more stuff brought back on moving forward on all different phases of this. Yes, Mr. Johnson.
I think the question is directed more to what does the planning commission and planning permit process require when a project goes forward? If any planning action is taken, yes, you are required to notify property owners within a certain radius around the project. In this case, this project did not require any planning permits. So there was no requirement to notify surrounding property owners. On the other hand, the mayor did ask me to send out notice, which I sent out a month ago. And then I sent out a second notice last Thursday to advise the surrounding property owners what was the status of the
Is that
project.
this hand-drawn little schematic that you're talking about that you sent out?
That was an attachment to the letters, yes.
Which is the first time we've heard about the project of the encampment itself. I hope you understand why I'm concerned about this. We have put out 5 fires already ourselves between the cemetery and us personally, that the wanderers, I call them the wanderers, have lit and gone off and left. And I know they need fires to keep warm, but they also are not responsible enough to put the fires out when they leave. This is kind of a dangerous situation that you're putting us property owners in without some sort of guarantee that you're either going to bond us or you're going to watch who's ever there all the time. You're going to make sure the dogs aren't all over the place. I mean, I think you need to give the public some insurance that you're going to be responsible for this encampment in such I consider a dangerous location, being a dead-end street and no way to get out if the encampment starts fires or whatever, and they do.
So
I
in
think you can
conjunction
talk
to
to the
that,
police chief and he will testify to the fact that there has been a lot of fires started. And he
Absolutely.
doesn't even know about the 5 we put out on the hill.
absolutely. And I'm not going to disagree with anything you're saying as far as the fires and all this stuff. So everything that we're going to be doing in conjunction to this urban campsite, we're basing it off of what Medford's done up there in conjunction to that. It is proven, they're proven theirs to be the safest place. The individuals that go to this urban campsite are only recommended by the PD station, period. There is no one that's going to be there that's not recommended by the PD station. It is in a controlled atmosphere, a controlled area to where they're not going to be starting fires outside of that. They're not allowed outside of that. The fires that they will have, in conjunction to that, will be in fire pits in that property. It will be properly managed by an individuals to where it's not going outside of that area. It's going to
Now, how
be
are you
controlled
going
on a
to keep
regular
the-
basis by the PD station.
How are you
And-
going to keep the campers there? With,
There will-
and
there
not
will- there will be
have them
somebody that's
wandering
actually
all over the
overseeing it.
place,
There will be actually somebody overseeing the project. all the
24
time.
hours a day.
Yep.
And that's going to be guaranteed to all of us,
That's
property and
that's the way
business
the whole
owners.
project works. Like I said, we are basing this whole project off of what Medford's doing. The Medford Urban Campsite right now is right next to the Ford dealership up there. They support it. The
Is it
PD's,
on a dead end street also?
it is actually. It actually is.
And the Christian school.
And it's a school right there, yeah.
Okay, so I assume we will be getting some paperwork that this, before this goes forward, bonding us, insuring us, telling us exactly what the rules are going to be, and that the city council is going to stick to those rules and make sure that everybody in that encampment sticks to those rules.
We will bring.
You're
we will bring
guaranteeing
forward-
that to me now.
We will bring forward to you everything, all information that we can acquire and get that towards you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to hold all of you to your word on this.
Not
We can't
promise, we're
make
bringing
those kind
forward
of
all
promises.
information for you. So
Yeah.
you will be presented all information.
So in other words, we will not be protected.
That's not what we said.
There's certain things legally we can do and can't do, and that's, we'll be going
I
over
mean, you
those.
haven't, you're placing this burden on us once again, when we've gotten this burden. And how about the cemetery district? And all the wandering around there, what's going to be done for the cemetery district, as I'm a trustee. So I have concern there also.
Oh, so do I. And that's the reason why we're doing this, is to keep Yreka safe. It actually is a proven, no, I know you roll your eyes in that. It's a proven thing that they actually is done so much better up in Medford with this urban campsite. They have less calls, the PD does, the fire stations do. It saves the city and taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a proven thing. I'd love to take, if you want, at any time, I'd love to take any individual up there to go on a tour of what Medford's doing and how to show you what it's about, because it is amazing, the transformation and the safety issues that they've addressed and made their city actually a lot better place, believe it or
Okay.
not.
I'm going to accept your word for this. But I will be back if it blows up and we have problems with all these campers and wandering all over the hill. And because the people that live in those apartments call us and say, we have a problem with your allowing people to wander around the hill.
So right now, it's actually less safe because there's actually in the greenway right now, below the hill that you own, there's a number of individuals camping out right now. And they're building fires. We stop at every chance we get. Once we get this urban campsite up and going, we will have the legal protection to be able to go there and say, you must vacate these areas. And we have a place for you to go that is a safe, controlled atmosphere. To where you cannot go and start fires randomly any place. This will open that up to where the law enforcement can actually have the legal, proper legal right to go and get those people out of the greenway. We're working on ordinances right now too, to get them for infrastructure safety ordinances that will also pertain to keeping them out of the greenways and protecting us as citizens, all of us, not just individuals, but all of us as citizens.
Well, our concern is burning the town down.
Exactly. And that's why we're working on ordinances that pertain to that.
So we will be kept apprised of these ordinances and,
Absolutely. You will know, you'll be notified. I'll make sure of that.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Middleton.
Councilman Middleton. So just going to your concerns, as you say you're going to hold us accountable, but we haven't seen a final draft on this project yet. It still has to come way before us, so we don't know the details. Mayor Kaag probably has a little more as he's involved with the homeless and the property. So I don't want to be told I'm going to hold you accountable when I haven't seen a draft and not approving anything. What's before you, and I think your question wasn't really answered, maybe it was, but I missed it, this is just for the cleanup. This isn't the start of the project. That hasn't come before us. What's coming before us tonight Yes, what's
Yeah.
coming before us tonight, no,
No.
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 This
One
is
thing
just
that's
the
been going
cleanup.
on is the cleanup of the property.
This is the cleanup of the property to remove the 6 inches of contaminated soil that was done to the property. That's only being done. We have not voted, decided to place that there, that this is coming as a possibility. So I know your question was answered, so I wanted to come back and answer your question. This is the only step we are taking as a council at this point.
Yep.
I haven't seen anything proposed to us, or neither of my council members, of a, design of what it's going to look like, what will be in place. We've heard what's up in Medford. I haven't had the opportunity to visit the Medford site yet, but I plan on to. But to answer your question, no, we have not voted. You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clarify for her because I knew she wasn't clear on that.
Nothing has been moved forward on any of that, just the cleanup of the property that we have. And that's hopefully someday we can fix some of this homeless problems. That's what the objective is, hopefully someday to put a Band-Aid on it. You're never going to fix it because unless we get some help from the state and federal level, which we are working on that by doing the point in time count and figuring out how many homeless we have and moving forward. There's so many obstacles on this whole thing, so many different things that are causing a lot of problems in this town. But if you go to any other cities, it's 10 times worse. And we're taking the good and the bad of all the different cities and figuring out what way to move in a positive way to fix some of these issues. Like I said, some of the things that we're looking into is different ordinances to help the safety of our citizens first and foremost. That's comes first. No matter what, we got to make sure the protection, fire protection, safety of our citizens come first. So that's some of the obstacles we're challenged with. Yes, Joe.
Mr. Mayor, if I may get back to this
Yes.
item, thank you. Cindy, thank you. You're still there and you're awake. Okay.
She's older now, though.
Yeah, that's true. So I do have some questions about this item. And it has to do with the cost, which seems to be going up incrementally every time we look at it. I know that there's funding available from EPA, and I was just wondering how much money from an EPA grant is going to be paying for this, because we certainly can't afford this out of our general fund.
We are taking it out in the general
It is,
fund, I thought.
it has already been,
There's money available for an
There are-
EPA grant. We have to apply, we have
Sorry.
to apply for it.
we would have to apply for it. And I think, as I mentioned the last time, it is competitive. We
Right.
wouldn't be guaranteed any money. In addition, the very earliest we could possibly start the project, if we wanted to fund it with an EPA grant that we were talking about, the cleanup grant would be April. Because they won't, as Eric Bayous explained to Alex and me, the funding would be available in October of next year if we got it. And if we were very, very careful and tried very hard, possibly they could retroactively let us have funding in July. And he said maybe possibly as early as April. But that would mean that we couldn't do any work before then because we couldn't be reimbursed for those costs.
You discussed that with us before.
Right, but I thought the direction that we gave was to go forward and look at.
We'd
the
certainly
grant.
research, but we
Oh, yeah.
That's what I
We're
thought we
still, I think,
agreed
We-
on.
we
we're still
haven't-
at that point, as far as I know.
we know when the deadline is to apply. We can certainly apply for cleanup funding, but again, if you'd prefer that we wait until April to do cleanup, then we can certainly try and go that route. But even then, it's not a guarantee. Whereas we do have this, it's not my call.
And
Sorry.
Mr.
forgive
Mayor,
me.
my concern is that we're dealing with a deficit budget in our general fund. And any money, this is not included in our budget. And so this would all have to be coming out of our reserves. And we've already got, 500,000 coming out of reserves? So I just have concerns about that. I think if there's funding available, we should definitely be applying for it
Yeah.
through
We can still
EPA.
move forward though, too. So we had this discussion last time too. It's not the first time. It's the same discussion we had last time, that we could still move forward. We still look for funding. It doesn't change anything, so. Yes, Mr. McCoy.
Do you know if we use 130,000 out of the general fund, is that an expense that we can then bill to ARPA so that we can bring that money back in?
Bill to whom?
ARPA, our ARPA funds that we're getting from the federal government? Or from the, okay,
I know, I know what the
Yeah,
ARPA funds are.
yeah.
I'm honestly not sure. I think
Okay.
we might have looked into it, but we were talking about the EPA cleanup.
thank you.
Yeah, I think Don has something possibly to add on that. That you researched?
Josh is our
Oh,
expert.
Josh is gonna,
He's our
yeah.
ARPA
Okay.
expert. I think I asked this question, it was no.
So there are provisions within ARPA that you can use the funds to address the negative impacts of COVID. Homelessness does broadly fall under that category. But I do want to remind council that Treasury has not finalized the rules on this. And I don't know if looking at all of the categories that ARPA falls into, if this would be 100% allowable under ARPA. I couldn't guarantee that. And two, as Councilmember Freeman has pointed out, working in a deficit budget, if we can utilize ARPA to offset revenue losses, that's going to benefit the city a little bit better than dumping this into the cleanup. It's not 100% no, but I could not 100% guarantee that the ARPA funds would be allowable under this. Like I said, there are broad categories for offsetting negative impacts of COVID, and that would include addressing homelessness. But insofar as the cleanup of the property, I think that might be a bit of a stretch, if that helps clarify.
I guess my only concern or my question, Zach, is Don did some research and the Roseburg City Council, is this correct, Mr. Henyon? And they were using that funding, correct?
For
For
cleanup or for homeless?
homeless transaction, or they, let's see, go ahead, step up there. I just brought it up on my screen right now.
So I'm not a whiz at acronyms, but if you have my memo and it says that it's the same grant funding, I trust you. But it was for a transitional coordinator.
That's what that one was for.
Yeah, for 2 years' salary, $140,000. And basically, we would contract for a full-time person to be dealing with these homeless issues. If we were to apply as Roseburg did, and for some reason in their agendas, they don't attach the contracts, and I guess the council just trusts staff to do their contracts right. But the name of the project coordinator is there, and our staff can contact their staff and get a copy of their application and get if the idea interests you, then you could mimic it.
So in conjunction to that, the main reason I haven't bring that up is for this, because a homeless coordinator would be something that we could address. Obviously, it doesn't pertain to what this situation is, but the ARPA funds did, go towards a homeless coordinator, which it could be something that we could utilize possibly. So, yes,
I love
Greta?
the brainstorming that's going on this, because we were also looking at CDBG grant coming down for community services. And I don't know if you remember in the budget process through the drafts, we actually had a position for a homeless coordinator. So this has been visioning. It's that's another resource that could be, in development of the homeless coordinator or encampment coordinator, be they on premise or kind of negotiating countywide services for assistance kind of within there. So there's a lot of things that can be developed out of that. With respect to the ARPA grant and the cleanup funds, it is, I I'm like Josh, I'm not sure that we're there. We can research that and get back to you also. But if there is an EPA, that's kind of narrow banding it. That's what EPA does, is these site cleanups. So it's, either go now or delay a little bit and see if there is grant funding on that. So, and Don did share that, and Josh, I apologize, I didn't forward that to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Retta. Okay. So where do we stand, council, on this?
This is Councilman McCoy, and I would like to make a motion that the city council authorize the city manager and staff to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with ERRG Incorporated for the Foothill Drive Brownfield site cleanup.
So we have a motion by Mr. McCoy. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Debbie Baird. Okay. I'll go into roll call then. Joan Smith Freeman.
You always call
Mhm.
it. This is a difficult one. I know that this is something that's needed, and I know we've been working on this for a number of years. It was going to be 100,000, then 100. No, it's going to be 75, then 100, and 125. Now I see it's going up to 130, and I don't really think that we've discussed why it's gone up exponentially. Maybe it's because there's only few people that do this type of work. So I'll vote aye.
What?
Aye.
I.
Want me to change it?
Mr. McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Baird.
Aye.
And Dwayne Keig, aye. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you,
Cindy.
Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
All right, we are now to discussion possible action, Public Works urban campground design and build out. This is Mr. Manager, or is this Matt Bray?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm bringing this before you this evening to let you know that Public Works staff has opened a work order with the city engineer. We have not expended any funds, but it is open and ready to go whenever council chooses. And it's to perform the engineering of the build out. So the engineering, I'm going to lean kind of heavily on the stormwater regulations because that's a lot of what we deal with and deal with development in the city lately due to our MS4 permit. There are a number of engineering items that need answered, which will dictate what the ultimate cost of build out will be. As my memo kind of touches on there's a layout that's been proposed. I've taken a look at it. I've looked over it with the engineering team. That's the number of tent sites, the hand wash stations, the fencing, that kind of thing. The answers that would come from this design would be, how high is the fence? What's the setback of some of these items from the property line? The minutia, I guess I could say, of the engineering. It's going to dictate a lot of the architectural elements, which have yet to be answered. So with a work order open, it's we looked back, spoke with Retta from finance, and I believe it's Fund 65, community development. And within the narrative of the budgets of this year, that speaks to laying aside funding for the build out. And that is what we would be utilizing to move forward with this design, the engineering and some architectural design. So tonight we are bringing this to you to let you know that that's where the funding would come from. There are a number of answers that we need to make this go. And so we're looking for direction from council on whether to not to engage with PACE. And, they're an engineering firm. They're not an architectural firm. They are in touch with architectural firms. So there would be a possible subcontract through PACE to design that and get it drawn out in an actual plan set that can be built.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bray. So I think in regards to this, my opinion on this is I know there are certain things that we can move forward with on, and some things we can't. I think really we need, first and foremost, is a more architectural design first, my opinion, versus all the engineering to go into it. I think we need to fine tune the design and see if it's suitable with the council to move forward at that point in time. So as much as I want to move forward on getting, this resolved, I think we're, by having Pace jump in there, I think we're getting the cart in front of the horse myself, but I think we need more of an architectural design on that. Obviously I've come up with Mr. McCoy and I have come up with a basic layout on that, but it's a real basic layout. But there again, the layout that we were looking at was very functional, but there's obviously more people that are involved in stuff like this that could probably give a better input, other than the research that we've done, which we've done a lot of research on that, basing it off of a lot of what's going on up in Medford and how they're designing it. And this design that, that we're basically looking at is miles above what they actually have going on up there in Medford area. It's actually more set up better as far as how the placement of the tents are, the area that it is, just the whole overall layout is actually better than what they're working with up there in Medford right off the bat. So they're working behind the guns already, and we're starting off with stuff would be more suitable for the situation. But anyways, that's my opinion. I'd like to hear on the rest of council, their opinion on this. So, yes, Debbie there.
I would like to see some cost projections. Is
That's
that possible?
what I was thinking, yeah.
It's a little scary.
Well, and there again, I
It's
think
getting
it's
expensive.
hard to get a cost projection unless we have some type of design feature.
Well, you gave them a basic to work
It's a
off
real
of.
basic though. I never fine tuned it at all. I mean, it
Well-
shows a basic layout. We've seen it.
Right. But Public Works has already given what's needed on the infrastructure, and you have given an approximate idea of what we want on top of the soil. I would think they could give us a window.
Okay, no, I'm all for whatever. So,
Cost.
yes, Joan.
Mr. Mayor, I will agree with Councilmember Bayard is that this feels like we're shooting blind and the dollar signs are going up and up. So, yeah, I think that it would be good to know some kind of projection, and then also, to find out if there's ARPA. ARPA is American, what is it?
Recovery.
Recovery. Josh?
Rescue plan.
Oh, I like mine
The
better.
American Rescue Plan Act,
Yep.
okay, the funding that comes through. I mean, this part could possibly.
Could possibly
be-
fall in those
be
guidelines. possibly,
funded by
yeah.
that. Yeah, I agree. And so, yes, I think if we could have some costs,
Mhm.
some projections and costs. I'm not really in favor of, to me, it sounds like we're asking our engineers to ask some architects, which means we pay the engineers and we pay the engineers to find the architects, and then pay the architects, and then pay the engineers again to do what the architects say. And that's gonna get expensive.
Yeah.
So if there's a way that we can, get around that so that it's not quite as expensive.
I'm worried about the cost,
Yeah.
but
And yes, Mr. Bray.
A point of clarification. This was written up and well thought out so we could expedite the project if that was the direction to go as soon as we could. What we can do is look to creating an RFP for an architectural firm, back off and start at the beginning of an RFP and go out and find a firm that we feel could do this design work for us. At the point that we would get through that, then we would take that work to the engineers and they would do the numbers underneath it, right? The stormwater and all of the engineering hinges on the layout, the final plan from the architect. So that's an option if you'd like us staff to come back at a later date. We can go down the RFP and look for an architectural firm. But as I mentioned, that we're to be as expedient as possible by utilizing the city engineer, they can subcontract the architectural firm. And we could move quicker.
So I know you don't like to give any estimated times, but how much is this possibly going to delay the process by doing this procedure?
You're correct. I couldn't estimate that delay.
Because, we're going into winter, which was unfortunate thing that we had no place for the homeless to go, and obviously safety reasons there. But we also got to look at time frame wise when it comes to next spring, that will, if we don't, this is what my big complaint was this last year, that we didn't have a place for them to go come the beginning of spring. We went through the entire summertime and had no place for them to go. Now we're dealing with homeless individuals scattered throughout the whole city now, not in least if we have a place for them to go, it's not scattered in the hills, it's not scattered in our parks, not scattered in our greenways. So this is a concern of mine, that the more we delay, the longer it gets put off and the bigger the problem gets. And it will get bigger. I guarantee you that it will get bigger. Mr. Johnson.
I met with Matt more than once on this before we came up with the recommendation that's before you this evening. In answer to your questions about the costs that we will have to face in the future, that's what you're hiring these people to tell you. So until they come on board, the engineer does whatever engineering has to be done, the architect working with the engineer as we saw it, you would get that plan, you would get that cost, and then deal with it as you wish. I can't recommend more strongly than you need the engineer on board.
No matter what.
Well, otherwise you have a hole in the ground and you don't have dirt coming back. So that engineer is going to, plan for that too.
True.
So there are things in motion that the council has set in motion and that Public Works is working on that pretty much shouldn't be stopped.
Right.
The Stormwater Act, if all of a sudden there is storm after storm after storm in that hole with no dirt in it, there's going to be issues that the city will have to face. I think you need to get your engineer on board. You already have a city engineer on retainer, so you're not going out to bid for this, that, and the next thing. What you're doing is relying on staff to work with that engineer using the layout that's been provided to date, asking that engineer possibly even to call Medford and get their engineering that they used. I mean, engineers do talk with each other. They may not like each other, but they do talk with each other. And we'll get the information back to you as quickly as possible. But at this moment in time, we're not asking you to spend money. We're asking you to let us start the process so we can bring back a proposal to you that makes sense and keeps this moving.
Thank you. That lot clarification. for me.
Anything you wanted to add to that, Matt?
No, sir. Thank you.
Great.
I'm sorry for jumping in.
No, that cleared up a lot of things.
Must have been painful to watch.
Well, we still don't know how much, but if we start the process, we'll know
Yeah.
soon.
They're going to come back to you.
That makes sense. We're not spending any money. We're just checking things out. So that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to open it up for the public at this point in time, and then I'll bring it back to council. So is there any member of this? Come on up. We can't, I'm sorry, we can't. I'm getting yelled at that we have to have it on a public forum, so you kind of got to step
He's
up to
not
the.
yelling, he's just motioning.
No? Yes, please.
So that the
It's-
public and the phones.
Because this is on for public knowledge, so anybody can get it.
Have you considered just buying one of our many empty buildings, huge buildings that are vacant in town and putting in some bathrooms and kind of like they did at the fairgrounds for Cal Fire?
Right. No, and yeah, we've looked at stuff like that. Of course, the funding there again, is a tough.
But
one.
it sounds like you're going to be spending a goodly amount of money on a campsite that only, according to the schematic, is 15 campsites. How many people is that going to hold?
Right. So there's, in conjunction to that, as far as building wise, there's a ton of different specifications. That's why the Beacon of Hope has ran into so many obstacles on theirs, because that's what they're, obviously planning on doing there, is doing a shelter there. And when you start getting all the specifications of what you have to have in those buildings for the homeless and bathroom wise, everything has to be handicap accessible, everything. So it runs into a whole bunch of different problems.
But this is going to cost, I keep hearing the figures,
Mhm.
engineering, architects, build outs, EPA grants. It sounds like a lot of money. Can the city afford that?
Yeah.
Can they afford to rent a building, lease a building, buy a building and just put in bathrooms and kind of like they did for Cal Fire?
So we actually
Fairgrounds?
did in regards
That's
to the
my
renting
comment.
part of it, the renting, that's, nobody wants to rent anything to us, unfortunately.
How much would it cost to buy one of these buildings?
Um,
That's,
Million, over a
Yeah,
million
over $1 million.
for the, like, some of the bigger buildings.
I think you're going to spend at least half of that on a campsite for 15 people.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Yeah. Any other public comments?
No, I was just going to respond.
Okay.
Because I agree with Donna, right? I agree with Donna on that. I see that Ashland has done it. They've spent several $1 million to buy a couple small hotels and do it. But they're still, 8 months later, they're still retrofitting their hotels. And so the other thing is, I'm looking at just property here, and some of your larger buildings here, they're wanting between 700,000 and $1.5 million. And then you'd have to go in and probably spend another $300,000 to $500,000. And that might be low. I know one of the buildings needs just $85,000 worth of electrical work. So it is something I think that we've all thought about. And I think it's something, and I think it's a good, but I think it's going to be quite a bit more than we're going to spend on a homeless, on a homeless camp.
I know it's weird to think this. So the other thing too, with the way the Rogue Retreat's running this up in Medford area too, is this is a program. It's a program that actually helps to graduate these individuals from one area to another area. So in other words, they're going from urban campsites that go to the pallet shelter, like a shed in a sense. It goes from the pallet shelters to an actual shelter. And then from the shelter, they actually go to tiny home facilities. And by the time they reach the tiny home facilities, these individuals, they have actually jobs. They're paying rent for the tiny homes. They're actually have responsibilities in this little community that they're doing. And they're actually setting them up to go out on their own and maybe rent an apartment or something like that. So the stepping procedures that they're doing at the Rogue Retreat actually graduates these individuals to expose them back into the public, into the real world again. So there's programs that they actually get hooked up with through social services and some other areas to get them off of if they have drug or alcohol problems. So these different things that we're talking about actually moves them forward in a positive way and hopefully gets them to be productive citizens again, is what the main goal is all this. And it's a huge obstacle, I know, and money wise, some of the cities are spending multi-millions, like Portland and those areas. They're in their budgets, they have millions of dollars in their budget just for homelessness. I mean, millions of dollars. I can't even remember. I looked it up at one point in time, and it's unbelievable how much they're spending. It right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm sure a lot of people agree and disagree on that. But a lot of these individuals, if given the chance, can move forward and actually be productive citizens. And other ones just need some help, period. And they'll never be able to be productive citizens because the mental problems that they are witnessing their whole life. And it's something that all of us have to face at that point in time, how do we deal with that? And it's hard because there's so many different things that we have to go through to fix this problem. And we're not going to fix it. We're going to put a Band-Aid on it, unfortunately. So anyways, any other public comments before we move forward? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the council. What is the wishes of the council? Then I'll make a motion that the council direct staff to engage PACE and their possible subcontractors to create and design a plan for build out of the urban campground, which meets and all applicable requirements and codes.
Council Middleton, I will second the motion.
So we have a motion by Dwayne Keig and a second by Corey Middleton. We're gonna go roll call. Joan Smith Freeman.
Aye.
Paul McCoy.
Aye.
Corey Middleton.
Aye.
Debbie Baird.
Aye.
And I, Dwayne Keig. Alrighty. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Johnson, for clearing that up for us.
Could have saved us a half hour.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
Could have spoke up a
No-
little sooner
no
next
money
time.
spent. I put it there yet. Yes. Yet.
All righty, let's move on to 8. I think I got the right one now. 8A, possible action.
Yep.
Adopt a resolution declaring 3 city-owned properties as exempt surplus land and authorize the city manager to or designee to take implementing actions necessary to comply with the Surplus Land Act. And this is Cindy.
Hello,
Hello again.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yes. Did you raise your hand? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you raised
She
your
voted
hand
no.
already.
Jeez.
As you know, council's been looking at the surplus properties in town,
Mhm.
and the city attorney and city manager and Public Works have been researching the Surplus Lands Act, determining the best way to move forward with surplusing lands. And we've determined, I keep thinking that the city attorney is going to come up and speak. Are you?
Okay.
If you're not, I'll keep talking. As you're aware, Caltrans has expressed some interest in purchasing 2 properties and leasing a third that belong to the city. And pursuant to the Surplus Land Act, the city is required to, in a public meeting, declare that these 3 properties would be exempt surplus land before we move forward with disposition of the land. Exempt surplus land is defined to include surplus land that a local agency is transferring to another local, state, or federal agency for that agency's use. And there's the government section there. Caltrans is a state agency. We verified that it would qualify and therefore make the properties qualify as exempt surplus land, so that it doesn't have to follow several procedural requirements of the Surplus Land Act, like 60-day noticings of multiple different agencies. Beg pardon? Of non-exempt surplus lands. They're all surplus. Surplus are called surplus and exempt surplus are called exempt surplus. It gets confusing.
Okay, open up for the council. We have some discussion on this.
We've had lots of discussion
Yes.
on this. I'm ready to move forward.
We have, I think it's Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Joan Smith Freeman, council member for all of you out there and Zoom land. Anyway, I think that this is a good idea. I know that the city of Yreka is going to be a busy, busy place with Caltrans coming through and working on the entire Main Street from all the way from the very south end of town to the north end of town. And so it will bring, it will be challenging at the time when it's being done, but it's going to be beautiful when it is finished. And we are going to put some money into it for beautification and making Yreka an even more beautiful place to live. So I think that by helping with Caltrans, and the property that they're looking at buying is directly behind the property that they already own. So it makes sense. And so all they'd have to do is add a fence, to the back part of it. And I think it's a good fit. And I think it will be money back to the city so that we can do some projects of our own. Like I know that we've got the fire chief back here, been looking at a new fire department so that his fire trucks will fit in. So I think that there's other things that we can use that money on. I think this is an excellent project.
Thank you. Any other councilman want to comment? Mr. McCoy?
I would agree with Councilwoman Smith Freeman. I think it's a good deal. I think it's a win-win for them to get to 3 lots and us to get our money out of them. I think that we own lots of property and a lot of it is for parks and for offices and things like that. And that is wonderful. But there are some parcels that we have within the city limits that are not, they've been there for, I mean, what I looked at since 52 or 51 when they were purchased. And I think it's, we can use that money in the general fund to help offset other expenses.
Any other comments?
Mr.
Mr. Middleton?
I echo the statements of Councilman McCoy and Councilman Smith Freeman. I think it makes sense for Caltrans to purchase the property, not only just for the next, it's gonna be 3 years, but I think for future use for them, that property makes perfect sense for them to own and use it for the future because I just think it makes sense for us to move forward and rid that property and use that monies for future projects that will arise for us as a city. So we've discussed it at length, as you said, and we're hopefully ready to move.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's already been said. Mr. Henyon, do you have anything you want to add to that?
So I just make a brief comment that you're not committing yourself to anything in this. You're not committing yourself to a specific deal with Caltrans. They've submitted some appraisals to us, but really before we can negotiate with them and before we can enter a lease with them, the council needs to take this step of declaring it exempt surplus lands. And that's all you're doing at this point, and we'll have to bring it back to you most likely in a closed session to discuss real property negotiations.
Correct.
Great, thank you for clearing that up. No, thank you. Okay, well then we'll open it up to the public. If there's any comments or concerns of the public, then speak now. Okay, we'll close it to the public then. We'll open it back up to the council. What is the wishes of the council? Mr. McCoy?
I'll make the motion to adopt a resolution for 3 city-owned properties as exempt surplus.
Oops, there you go.
I'll make, Councilman McCoy will make the motion to adopt a resolution declaring 3 city-owned properties as exempt surplus land and authorize the city manager or designee to take implementing actions necessary to comply with the Surplus Land Act, Government Code Section 54220 et sec.
Council Middleton, I will second.
We have a motion by Mr. McCoy, and a second by Mr. Middleton.
I'm gonna third it because I had my hand up
Sorry,
first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't have my glass.
I need to sit back a little further so I can watch everybody
There
else.
you go. No, it's a.
You're on my deaf side too, so that's a bad
It's a
side of
good
me.
motion.
Debbie's like, yes.
It's a good motion. Aye. I know you're gonna ask. me.
Yes, roll call.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
McCoy, Mr. Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Baird,
Aye.
and I, Dwayne Kay. Awesome. Thank you again, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Cindy.
And Don.
We will move on to
Calpers.
8D,
Retta.
discussion possible action, finance, adopt a resolution recognizing the city of Yreka 2022 contribution to employees' healthcare costs through the IRS Section 125 cafeteria plan. And this is Retta.
Retta.
Thank you. My screen's straight
Well,
here.
we've got you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So this is just recognizing the increase of the city's required minimum employer contribution to our Calpers Health Plan. PAHCMA is the acronym. We like acronyms, you know. And this is just memorializing it in compliance with that being part of our cafeteria plan of the employers. Equal but unequal payments for the healthcare between annuitants and actives by the city picking up the balance through the cafeteria plan on that. So a lot of you who've been here over the years know we bring this annually in front of you. So if you have any specific questions, I can answer those. Otherwise, it's routine.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for Retta?
No, I think this is something that we've talked about over the years and something that we're committed to.
Yeah.
I'll make the recommended motion.
I'm gonna open up for the public cases, any public comments.
Well, maybe somebody out there. will make the
They
motion.
might have some comments on it. Any public comments? Okay, then I'll close the public comment part. Now I'll open it back up to the council. Yes, Joan Smith Freeman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd make the recommended recommended motion, adopt the resolution recognizing the city of Yreka's 2022 contribution to employees' healthcare costs through IRS Section 125 cafeteria plan.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Debbie Berry.
So we have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman, a second by Debbie Baird. We'll do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman.
Aye.
Paul McCoy.
Aye.
Corey Middleton.
Aye.
Debbie Baird.
Aye.
And Dwayne Keg, aye. All righty. We'll move on. I know we need to clip along here. I know there's a couple of anxious people here. Discussion possible action. Finance again. Wait, all right spot. Yes.
Calpers.
Yep, July 2021 Calpers actuarial reports. This is Josh.
With a fair amount of help from Retta.
And
So-
our newest fireman.
Yes. Okay, so this is basically the annual report that comes from Calpers about the status of our pension. So we have now 5 pension plans, classic safety, pepper safety, classic miscellaneous, pepper miscellaneous, and then the pepper fire safety. Across all 5, we have a theoretical combined liability of just over $37 million. The market value of those plans is at about $26 million. So we have across all of them, almost about 70% of it is funded. So if you see in the third column over unfunded actuarial liability, or UAL, that's what you can think of that is that's we've borrowed against expenses that have already incurred. So and that unfunded liability is the part that we are trying to pay off over the years. So Calpers allows us to make payments much like a mortgage or a line of credit. So go ahead to the next slide. Thank you, Arthur. So this is just kind of a diagram showing out, we do have a large chunk of it funded and it's not too much of a problem, but there is just almost 11 million that is not funded for our pensions. Go ahead, next slide. So we're required to contribute to these pension programs. And so this slide here talks about the 2022-2023 contributions that are required by the city for these. And so it's broken out. Each different pension has a normal cost rate that's represented as a percentage of the payroll of that plan. So for classic safety, for example, the normal cost rate for those pension plans is 18.17%. But that's not the actual cost to the city. We have to include the unfunded actuarial liability payment as well. So for pepper safety members, or I'm sorry, classic safety members, our combined liability is more, or our combined employer contribution is more along the lines of 53% of our projected payrolls. So that's what this slide breaks out is how much, in 2022, 2023, we'll be paying not just for our normal cost contributions, but our unfunded liability contributions as well. Slide. So here's where we're getting into the amortization or breaking down of the payments over years. So under our current amortization, we're going to be making payments all the way up until about 2045. And that's going to result in a interest payment over that time period of almost $8.3 million. There is, we can in theory speed up those payments, just like, refinancing. If we went to a 10-year amortization, our interest rate or our paid interest would drop to 6.4 million. The problem with that is that the city would have to find a way to handle that cash flow. So that's the biggest issue with, we can spread it out over more time and incur more interest, but we also have a cash flow issue. And it should be noted that in the amortization information that came from the actuarial reports, the PEPRA fire safety is not included because it's so new to the city. That's just a recent addition. So that's not included in these amortizations. Go ahead, next slide. So this is just kind of graphical representation of the amortization. So the blue line represents the current plan that we're on, and you can see how it's steadily increasing, and it'll peak in 2031 at 1.2 million, although we're expecting that to actually increase. It'll probably be closer to 1.5. So whereas the red line at the top that looks fairly steady, that would be the 10-year amortization plan. It's a much shorter time period, but it's also a much higher sustained payment across the time frame. And again, that really highlights the cash flow issue for the city in making these unfunded liability payments. Go ahead, next slide, please. This slide really kind of highlights some of the issues that the city faces when it comes to our pension liabilities. So we have a total of 206 participants, 99 of which are retired. So that's 99 of which we're paying on. And so that doesn't help with being able to make these unfunded liability payments. That's part of the problem is the increasing retirement rates. So that's just kind of highlighting some of the challenges that we're having with it. And then go ahead and go to the final slide. Lastly, and this isn't part of the actuarial reports, but this is what steps the city has taken to help plan for this, and that's contributing to the California Employers Pension Pre-Funding Trust. So this trust fund was, we started contributing in 2020 with an initial contribution of about 1.3 million, and then another 2.1 million or 2.2 million in 2021. These assets can act as a stopgap as those unfunded liability payments increase over the course of that amortization. We can utilize this fund to help offset some of that cash flow. So the cities and Yreka have done a good job of trying to plan for that. But realistically, I mean, this is one of the biggest challenges facing the city is dealing with the pension and the the OPEB that goes with it, the other retirement benefits. But, so, anyway, that's it was just informational for the council.
Thank you, Josh.
Just trying to scare us to death.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Is there any questions from the council?
Yeah, where's all that money gonna
Yeah,
come from?
I know, exactly.
So that kind of talks about, so Yreka and I have gone back and forth and one of the things that we really should start focusing on is avenues of revenue development to help with that. So if we can start collectively coming up with ways to increase city revenue, that can help offset some of these costs.
Yeah. Anything to offset a little bit of it. Jeez Louise.
Mhm.
Wow.
And the city's far from unique in this. This is across the state and we're actually in a better position than some.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're in a lot better position than some cities, that's for sure. And that's due to people like Yreka keeping us up front and keeping us moving forward in a positive way. Awesome.
Good to know.
Thank you.
Good to know.
She still reads.
Right, any comments from the council? concerns, well, lots of concerns, but
Yeah, concerns.
comments, I should say.
Yeah,
We won't go into
concerns.
concerns, we'll be here all night, so.
I will just say, Mr. Mayor, if I might, this is Joan Smith Freeman again. This is a huge concern to all cities, and I went to a breakout session at the League of California Cities, Cal Cities meeting that was down in Sacramento about a month ago, end of September. And the room was packed, and there's a tremendous amount of concern because the cost of pensions just keep going up and up and up, and more people are retiring, and some cities are choosing to borrow the money and then pay it ahead. And then that way, then we're not paying all that interest. The interest that we do pay could be a lower amount of money. So that's something that we're probably going to have to look at for the future, is what direction that we're going to take and how we're going to pay it off, because there is no option. I mean, we have to pay it one way or another.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has to be
No way
paid.
around it, unfortunately.
Right.
Any other comments by council? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Open it up to the audience. Is there any citizens that want to make any comments or concerns other than it's, yes, come on down.
I bet Sam's got $5 or $6 million laying around.
Sam Ball, resident of Yreka. I was just curious as to what the council had in mind to produce the revenue in order to pay these bills. That's the only
Yeah,
comment I have.
that's basically what we're addressing. We're trying to figure out what that means. I don't know, does Red or Josh want to comment on that?
I think the purpose tonight was to keep both the public and the city council apprised of development in the pension funds, so that as you go into strategic planning, it's kind of one of those seemingly off balance sheet items that's presented in the government-wide financial statements. But we like to bring this annually. I think we missed last year with COVID and all in bringing it forward, but it was a good chance to bring it forward to you this year, because that is a horizon issue that we want to keep in our back of our minds as well for the what might be measured steps to take to deal with it. With respect to your question, sir, is that we are carrying the unfunded liability in the budget annually, so it's really the incremental growth that we're going to need to consider, but it is being carried along each year. So it's just that incremental growth, which looks like it'll double. It'll go from about 750,000 to about 1,250,000, very short period.
So big. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perhaps a workshop in the future.
What's that?
Debbie Barrett, I'd like to suggest maybe a workshop in the future so we can really discuss all the options,
Yeah, definitely.
but not tonight.
In the not too distant future.
Yeah.
No,
Before
I
we
was
lose
thinking-
Retta.
Thank you, Reg. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. All right, any other members of the audience have any more questions, comments? Okay. We will open it back up to council, and what's the council's wishes?
I thought it was
information only.
information only.
Information only?
Yep.
It actually,
Information.
yep.
We
Well, it
haven't
actually
gotten
as
millions.
listed as discussion possible action, so.
Oh. Huh. Huh.
So it was just discussion. So do we need to take any action on this, Mr. Manager?
No, you do not. But just for the sake of information for the council and for the audience that's here, this city is no different than any other city or school districts. The PERS system, the STRS system, years ago started reducing their rates, anticipating major interest to be earned on their funds that they were holding for retirement. And by doing so, and pretty much pushed to do so by the state of California at that time, it reduced the rates of everybody within the system. So when you had an employee, you had an amount, a percentage of their salary that you were supposed to put in there, and that was supposed to be enough for them to work and get their retirement. And after years of doing that, and all of a sudden being more realistic when a new governor came in to office, everybody got these huge increases, including the state. And so at that point in time, there were deals made, and Paul was on board, I think, during those times with the school district when those deals were made. And many cities started setting up separate funds, separate things. Obviously, that was done here. Never be enough, but I just want to remind you that next time when you adopt a budget and the comments come up again, we want to do all of these public improvement projects. We want to replace the pool. We want to do all these other things that have to be general fund funded. This is where a lot of your money went based on projections provided by PERS and dictated by the state of California at that time. Everybody got in a hole, and everybody is still trying to climb out of that hole.
It's gonna be an ongoing problem, I think, for a while too. It's not gonna go away, obviously. So, all righty then, since there's no action taken on this, we'll move on to, we should have probably bumped up to the beginning. Thank you for your patience. Discussion possible action, finance, introduction of first reading resolution of the city council for the city of Yreka consenting to the increase of residential rates for the collection garbage of the city of Yreka. Like I said, thank you guys for your patience. Greta?
Thank you, and I apologize in the agenda, but this is noticed for a public hearing and was, city attorney confirms it was properly noticed as we ran that noticing by him. So need to add to the agenda the public hearing as well.
Okay. So we'll open it up right now for public. We'll open it up for public hearing on the public comments.
So we need to schedule.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were able to do it right now. We didn't have it.
It
We didn't have it
wasn't
written in.
properly noticed,
It's scheduled.
so we can have the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what I
That
thought
was
we were
confusing.
supposed, yeah.
Sorry.
So we are opening up for public hearing. Thank you. I'm like, I hope so, after making them wait all evening. Jeez Louise. Okay. So is there any public comments on this? Public concerns? Nothing. Okay. Well, then we will go into back to, it closes for public hearing and open it back up. Thank you. Retta?
Thank you. And just tonight, we were contacted by Yreka Transfer. And as a staff report outlines, they are experiencing some cost in production for both fuel. Their fuel costs have risen, as well as their cost of other commodities and insurance. And they held off last year from increasing rates, but they contacted the city. As our franchise agreement with Yreka Transfer requires bringing this rate increase to the city council for that. And so, and adopting a resolution should the council so to decide. So with that, I'll.
Okay, we'll open it up for council. Oh,
I just have a question. I don't know if Retta can answer it. Is there anyone here from Yreka Transfer?
yes, we do.
Oh, good.
We have the elders that have
question
been
for you.
patiently waiting this whole evening. So
I looked it up on my account to make sure that my numbers are correct, but it says here the new rate will be $23.25 and I paid $25.25.
Well, you
And
have a
it comes
60
out
for a gallon.
automatically.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Sure, yeah.
Thank
Come
you.
on down so everybody else can hear you too. And thank you for being here. all
Yes, thank
night
you for
and waiting so long.
patiently.
We probably should have moved them up.
Yeah. I wish
Anyway,
would've
when I
caught it
saw the
sooner.
23.25, I thought, I'm pretty sure I pay more.
So
The 32-gallon cart, which is our smallest cart.
No, I have a regular size card.
Then you
Oh,
should
I
be
see,
paying-
that's the 25,
Yes.
25.
Yours
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yours
25,
25.
25.
25.
Yours gonna,
Thank
yep.
you.
Yeah, all
You're
the
right.
carts would be going up three. There's three different sizes. The small tiny ones are not that popular anymore
I'm
because
fancier
with
than
all
that.
the online shopping people do, they're just not big enough.
Yes.
Yeah, people get their stuff stuck in them and there's a few people that can still make it, but most everybody has the larger ones.
And I have the blue, may I
Yes,
continue,
go ahead.
just one more. I have the blue recycle can too, which I really like that you guys do, and that's where all the boxes go, rather than the newspapers, so.
Yes,
Thank
there's
you.
lots of packaging and other things that go in there.
So that one then will go up to 33, or is it? at
The
28?
curbside recycling that you were referring to is free. That's
Oh,
part
thank
of the costs of these programs. But the largest cart, which is 96 gallons,
I don't
is
think I
going
need
from
that.
30.75 to 33.75.
Right, I don't. think
And
I
the
need
same, that is the size of the curbside carts as well. We only have one size for them.
that. Oh, the big ones.
Is there any- Yes, Mr. McCoy.
This is Councilman McCoy. I'd like to say that in light of all the costs that are going up throughout the United States, it is not surprising to me that we would, that Mrs. Eller and Yreka Transfer would ask for a cost increase, and I would support it. I have to tell you that I do a lot of recycling, both as when I was a business owner and now that I'm a private citizen, and I go out there on Fridays when they are sorting out there, and I've said this before, they're blue, blue cans, and they don't get paid enough per can to sort those. I'm going to be out, and anybody wants to know what comes out of those, what the average citizen puts in, I'd be glad to tell you, but I won't say it in public here. We got to talk to you after the meeting, but what they go through and have to pull out is just horrible. And so, we've got a good city here and we've got a good garbage collection agency. And I want to thank both Mr. and Mrs. Eller for being here and thank you for your service. And, it's good and it's worth it.
I know you have a list of what you can recycle. Maybe people
Yes.
don't read your list.
Yeah, the things that he's referring to, nobody in their right mind would think.
Really?
Yes.
Corey? Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Middleton has a comment.
Oh, I just want to say, to echo on Councilman McCoy's comments, I think Yreka Transfer and the family do an excellent job for the city. And I know they probably held off from coming to us for these rates because I know they tried to really strive to keep their rates down for the citizens and they really care about their customers. And, looking at this, I don't, the costs of business and everything, I know it's probably a hard decision for them to come to us, but I know it's justified and I don't see this as a hefty increase at all and really appreciate them. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the insurance alone went up over 30,000 for the year.
Oh, no.
That was just the insurance.
Oh, my.
I'm sure they came to us for the minimum increases.
Yeah.
No, like I said, we appreciate your service and as somebody that lives right next to the recycling, I know how busy you guys are and how diligently you guys work and all hours you guys are there. I see trucks going at 3 o'clock in the morning, leaving the yard there and working. So you guys are hard workers and you are so for supporting our citizens and our city of Yreka. And we thank you.
Yes.
Deeply thank you for all the work you guys do. Thank you. Is there any other public comments? Will we go back into it? If not, then we'll open it back up to council and what are the wishes of the council?
I'd like to make a recommendation, please. This is Debbie Baird.
Okay.
I would like to move that we adopt a resolution consenting to an increase of residential rates for the collection of garbage in the city of Yreka.
I see a bunch of hands, so.
Council Middleton, I will second.
All right, we have a motion by Debbie Baird, and a second by Corey Middleton. Do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman.
Hi.
Mr. McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Baird,
Aye.
and I, Dwayne K. Thank you, guys, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
who you were talking about when you said some.
Yes.
anxious people.
They got
I was trying to
kiddos to
skip
get home
ahead,
too.
but you guys wouldn't let me.
Bye,
Jeez.
Ruth.
Bye.
All righty.
Aren't you curious as to how we finish up?
I think they've seen enough. Good
They got
night.
kitty
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll move on to the last one on this discussion, possible action, city attorney. Oh, that would be done. Authorize execution amendment, the agreement for the city attorney services regarding hourly fee adjustment. And who's gonna speak first on this one?
Randy.
City attorney is requesting an increase in the basic fee, basically going from what he has been receiving here for some time to the same rate that he's charging other municipalities, other agencies for some time. So you've lucked out for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Thanks, Don.
I did want to
That's
mention
still-
one typographical error in the agreement itself. The monthly retainer is shown as going from 2,500 to 3,280 in C at the top, where it's also mentioned again in one below that as going to 3080, and it should be 3280 at that point.
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
staff has no other comments on this other than to recommend the action as requested by the city attorney.
Okay, great. Does council have any comments?
I just want to, this Councilman McCoy, I want to say I'm in support of this. Attorney Henyon charges us one third to 1/4 of what most attorneys make in the United States. And he charges us in some, I'm going to say it, he charges us in some areas less than what a paralegal makes. So, yeah, when I found out what we were paying, I went, wow, this is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other councilman comments? And I'm gonna open it up for the public if there's no other councilman.
Okay.
Okay, I'll open up for the public. Any comments, concerns? Okay, we'll bring it back to the council. What is the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think that, first of all, I'd like to say that our attorney has done an excellent job for us over the years. I really appreciate all his hard work. And you've been to a lot of meetings in person as well as on Zoom. So I would like to make a recommended motion to raise the rates as recommended.
We have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman.
I'll second.
Okay. Debbie Baird. Okay. Roll call, Joan Smith Freeman.
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
Debbie Baird,
Aye.
and Dwayne K. Guy. Thank you. And thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
I appreciate your service. You
Yes.
put in a lot of hours for, especially this last year.
Oh, my.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Because of us.
Because of
Oh,
us,
my.
yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oops.
We are demanding, aren't we?
We are definitely demanding.
We're high maintenance, apparently.
Yeah, that too.
All right. So we'll go on now to city manager and staff reports.
It's too late.
It's too late. It's too late.
No, we have,
Nothing.
we'll give you a weekly report
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Any of the chiefs want to add anything? They're good? Awesome. Okay. Well, then we'll go to councilman's reports. Mr. McCoy?
I want to just thank the fire department for their.
Yes.
You've got some tough,
Oh.
spots, so
Oh, yeah.
appreciate your guys. Thank you.
Yes,
And that's
Very
all.
much.
absolutely, man. Those guys, wow. I can't imagine the stress load that they've went through this last week. My goodness. Wow. Mr. Middleton?
I'll echo Mr. McCoy. I know they've had a tough week. Yeah, we're very lucky as a city for the dedicated fire department and police department we have, and just reading the comments of their service to the fire victims have been amazing. They're appreciative of you guys. So thank you. And I will end with that. And because it's late, and so that's it.
Thank you, Corey. Joan Smith, right?
Oh, well,
Any
there's been
flashlights on, by the
been
way?
a lot going on. Yeah, I was just trying to look at my calendar.
Oh.
Now I Put it down. Okay, we had a league leaders workshop. It was on Zoom. So there were league leaders, members of the board, the state board that I sit on, representing the northern 58 cities, as well as representatives from all the divisions. And so there were over 100 probably people on the Zoom. It was very well done. A lot of good speakers. And that was our introduction to it. We've got 2 more days of meetings later in November, and I'll bring back a report for you. Looking toward making our goals, it's our goal setting session for the year. This is the 3rd time I've been a part of it. And it's setting the important issues in all of the cities. And of course, as you know, homelessness ranks right up there at the top of all of the issues in every single city, but there are quite a few other ones as well. So that was probably the most interesting meeting that I've had. I got a shingles shot, but nobody cares about that. That made me sick. Made me pretty achy this week. And I wanted to invite anyone who's interested. Rotary is having a meeting. We have one social meeting a month tomorrow night at the bowling alley. And so that should be fun. And also the Elks had a great murder mystery dinner last Saturday night. It was a lot of fun. It was well attended. And everybody, well, not everybody had a role, but I did. I was a vampire. But I was a good vampire. I didn't eat
A
people.
good vampire.
That was
Didn't know
really
there
fun.
was.
The Elks is getting a lot of new members, a lot of new younger members. And so that they're really good organization that does a lot of good for the community, gives back to the kids, and a lot of projects in the community as well. And I'm proud to be a part of that. I'm now the exalted ruler.
Oh, wow.
Wow, you went to the top fast.
I know, just for a short period of time. Anyway,
Congratulations.
so yeah, that was nice. And I'm really enjoying it. It's a wonderful organization.
Good.
So
Anything else?
I can't think of anything right now. Sure, there is something.
Thank you. Debbie Barrett?
Okay, short and brief. I would like us to get on board and ahead of the game to make sure that the position of mayor is put on the voting ballot in 2022. So however I think we've all discussed it and we're all in support of it. But if it needs to come back for discussion, I'm good with that also. Moving on, C2C, the Collier Center is closed for this month. That's kind of a bummer, but I did notice that Weeds Rest Stop was closed as well.
Yep. Airport.
And I wanted to remind council that we haven't been sending out thank you cards. We need to start again because there have been some new businesses open up, and make a list, and maybe next time when we get together, we can start signing some stuff and let people know we're happy they're here opening businesses, because it is important. And the last thing is I did call the Elks with the support of the mayor and Joan to schedule them for Lola in January 12th, and it's a go.
Awesome.
So Debbie Brooks, D&D catering is going to be cooking lasagna. It should be good.
Right on. Good.
And I know everybody's gonna like the open bar.
Well, it's open as long as they pay for it.
Yes, yes.
Correct.
That's it.
Done.
So are you proposing to go from city manager, council member or arrangement to a mayor, elected mayor,
position, correct.
and
But not a strong mayor.
not a strong mayor?
No, I don't think so, because a strong mayor takes the place of a city manager.
Correct.
Yeah,
No,
no,
not a
no.
strong mayor, no.
No, just
No,
for
we're
show.
proposing it to be an elected position versus an appointed position by the peers.
Okay, I'll have to see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
Are you don't,
No, it's
no,
not.
no.
It's not.
uh-uh.
Oh, is it?
I've never heard of that one.
Really?
Yeah.
I am stunned because we've talked about it for
Get your
5 years and
report back.
nobody's ever said it.
I understand your request. I'll get your
Okay.
report back.
Well,
Okay.
let's amend it then.
I think it's the way, I think it's the way that our city is organized. It's in our, what do you call it? In our.
Proclamation or
Proclam-
something.
Not proclamation.
Charter.
Charter.
Sounds a better word.
Charter. Well, aren't you a downer?
Yeah, it's usually Debbie.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Now that you pay him more, he's gonna tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. So he's trying to do less work now. I got it.
Oh, bummer. Okay, well, not much I'm gonna add. I would
We'll
like
get more
to,
information on that.
Yeah.
like to say that, you know, in conjunction to this urban campsite, we need, I definitely want any information that even moving forward as dirt work, with the council's permission, anything that as far as regards to that property, that moving forward, that outlining properties that get sent notices, make sure that they get notices of anything that's done there, the dirt work, anything in the future. That way it's made sure it should have been done a long time ago. And it's a bummer that it hasn't been sent out a long time ago. Unfortunately, that was a previous city manager that didn't do that. So now we want to correct that procedure. So we want to make sure that anything as far as moving forward of any sort, any notices that we're going to, anything that we're going to have a meeting on, as long as it's okay with the council, anything we're going to have a meeting on, even though it's public knowledge, I want the landowners specifically sent a notice other than just the public notice. So that way they are notified of anything moving forward on that property whatsoever. So that's okay with the council.
You just have to determine what our raise of landowners is.
Right, I guess we'd have to determine that. So we can work on that, but I definitely, obviously adjoining properties, you know, adjacent properties, I should say. And anything like that, even down the street, should be notified for sure of any movement of any sort that we're doing. 'Cause main thing is to be transparent on everything that we
Same
do.
way, probably, you were probably notified when cleanup crew did the cleanup on that hill. Were you notified not only the cleanup crew?
I hired the cleanup.
Yeah, on the hill.
Okay, oh, I thought they were, I thought Mark Apple was the,
Oh, no, no, no.
No,
no, you paid for it. Okay, thank you.
so,
Several times.
yeah, I know. And so anyways, that I'd like I said, request to the council. As far as moving forward on that, my own thing, I have, we as a city, we have our Siskiyou Homelessness Coalition meeting tomorrow at 1:30. That's with the county and all the other entities of the Siskiyou County. I have next week, I have a meeting with the point in time that we're on 7 counties in the North State to try to get that arranged the last little bit because we're running out of time on that part of it. And as far as any other new business, I'm going to keep it short. So other than that, I think that's it. So meeting's adjourned. We are going into closed session. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.